So I love this industry because good or bad, the economy, I will thrive being able to find off-market deals. I know I will.
Eric, thank you for joining me for our Thought Leader Spotlight series. I'm your host over here, Matt Camp, head of partnerships at DealMachine. And on these, we really try to shine an industry spotlight on experts like yourself, hear your inspiring stories, and see how you see the real estate world evolving. So today, really excited to welcome on Eric Cline. Appreciate you spending the time, man. I know you've sold over $200 million of real estate deals over the phone. Pretty crazy. Over 2.6 million in the first 12 months alone when you jumped into this game. One of the fastest growing real estate sales trainers in the world. You're an entrepreneur with multiple businesses. You've got coaching. You've got your Run It Remote company. Just such an inspirational journey and story as well. So I really appreciate you coming on and spending some time with us, Eric.
Appreciate you having me, brother. Yeah, it's always a honor to be able to get in front of audiences and share value. So thank you.
Yeah, and this isn't the first time you've been on with our community. So again, thank you again for investing in our people too. But
of course,
yeah, can you? I know I mentioned a little bit around your background and things, but can you kind of start there? I'd love to hear what got you into real estate and really where you're at today.
Yeah, I mean, I'll even take you a little further than that for anybody that might be doubting themselves on whether or not they're qualified to do this. And I won't give the whole story, but dude, from 13 to 28, I was heavily addicted to drugs, alcohol, very low self-esteem, kicked out of high school, kicked out of the military, disowned by my family. And I struggled for many, many, many years. As far as an education, I made it to my first week of my senior year and they said, we're done dealing with you. I got equivalent to a GED and then shipped off to the military, and the military couldn't handle me because I had a super bad alcohol and drug problem. So they didn't want to deal with me. I was a union carpenter for about 6-7 years and they couldn't deal with me because of my drug and alcohol problem. So I was blackballed from the union. And at 28, I got into sales. First, I saved, I got clean. Today, I have over 15 years clean and sober from any mood or mind altering substances. Thank God.
Congratulations. Yeah.
But to get into the meat and potatoes of like business and sales and real estate is my first crack at sales was I walked into a call center. I saw people that looked like me, walk like me, talk like me. And I, for the first time, got a crack. I got a shot of jumping on the phones and selling stuff, a commission-based job. And a lot of people in my family were like, dude, you're going to be a telemarketer. They're all blue collar workers. I love my family to death, but they've all, they all do the same thing in the hometown and all that jazz. And I broke free and got into sales. And I realized very quickly that sales, for anyone out there that's not good at sales is a skill that you can learn, because I was not good in the beginning. I had phone fear. I had anxiety. I had panic attacks when somebody answered the phone. Scripts ultimately saved my life. Someone put a really good script in front of me, which I have everything scripted out for this industry. Mm-hmm. And as long as you can read, you're qualified to learn how to sell if you have a good script. I worked for a guy for 1.5 years, became his number one on the sales floor after working there for 1.5 years. And now, mind you, I'm living in a halfway house, just got off of, a 6-year run smoking crack. And I wanted more out of life. In sales, I owe everything to sales. Sales saved my life. It gave me confidence and it's given me financial freedom. Real estate just so happens to be the arena I operate in today. And wholesaling or real estate acquisitions, for everyone out there, it is nothing more than marketing and sales. Once you start buying properties or flipping properties, yes, you are a real estate investor, but wholesaling is sales and marketing through and through. And then you throw in systems and processes, that's when you can get really dangerous with it. So
Yeah.
I worked for a guy for a year and a half, became his number one. And then my wife and I decided to become entrepreneurs, self-employed. And thank God, knock on wood, I'm 14 years into writing my own paycheck. I have done hundreds of millions of dollars all over the telephone. My very first company was in the timeshare exit industry. My wife and I took it from a bedroom company to growing the largest timeshare exit company in the United States of America. Almost did a 9-figure exit on that for over 100 million. Lost it to a lawsuit from 2019 to 2021. And that's where I found myself looking for what was going to be my next move as a husband, an entrepreneur, a father, and a lot of people counting on me. So I ended up landing in the real estate industry and started in the real estate acquisitions space, which people refer to as wholesaling. And I've done millions and millions and millions of dollars. Where a lot of people talk about grossing millions, I've actually made millions, made net millions of dollars in a very short period of time, doing it 100% virtually over phones.
Wow, man, it's one thing that just really stands out. I mean, one, thank you for getting so vulnerable with us and sharing that whole
Yeah.
story. It just really stands out how you've, like you mentioned, you've been through ups and downs. You've gone through all of that, and I know there's people watching this now that are going through things, whether it be personally and professionally, and are might be struggling at this moment. Like, what advice do you have for them? Like, how would you help shape their mindset and belief?
Yeah, I believe everybody is either there's two options. You're either running away from a life you no longer want to live, or you're running towards a life that you so desperately desire to have. For me, back when I got clean, I was trying to do it for everybody other than myself, right? And not everybody's going to have my story where they're smoking crack, almost homeless, all that stuff. Like I was an extreme case, but I knew that, for a lot of people, it's when the pain gets great enough, we will change. And you just got to figure out, is the pain great enough for you to make that change? Because, and I just made a post about this today. It's like, dude, if you go all in for 90 days, 90 days, you put the blinder on, you block out all the noise. You don't tell anybody what you're doing, because the ones that love you are probably the ones that are going to hold you back. But 90 days, you go all in on this, you will put your head up in 90 days and your life will look different. But if it's not, one, you didn't go all in. And then two, if you went all in and it didn't work, dude, your refund or your misery will be refunded to you. The average life is never going anywhere. So I don't understand why people are so scared to leave what they don't want. It blows my mind today.
Man, yeah, when you put it in that perspective, it's what's the downside, right? You got to go for it.
Yeah.
The worst case is you don't go for it, and then you're thinking that what if game, your entire life there. That's do you when you've gone through kind of these changes in your career like that, found that next opportunity and things. Do you have any advice for people like that as well? Where it's I know we have a lot of people who are maybe in that 9 to 5, or they're doing this on the side, and there's kind of like half in, half out. Like, any advice on those people committing?
Yeah, I always say, man, it's like a lot of people say, burn the boats, burn the boats, burn the boats. But you can burn the boat too soon and put yourself in a really hard spot. And sometimes that's what people need. When their back's up against the wall, you have to make moves, especially when you have a family and people counting on you. But it's like, if you are doing this part-time and you are truly, because a lot of people say, oh, I'm doing this part-time, but they really ain't doing a whole lot. A lot of people are very busy, unproductive people. But if you are doing this part-time to try to leave a 9 to 5, it's allocate a certain amount of time. Again, I say block out the noise, Make sure you're making your dials, make sure you're getting quality talk time, and you're making offers on properties. And if you're truly putting the work in, I believe with all my hearts of hearts, there's nothing anybody can tell me, whether you're doing this full-time or part-time, within 90 days, you can get a contract or two, a solid contract to go to the closing table to prove the concept for you. Once you've proven the concept, do it once or twice more just to get the confidence, and then go all in. Like, go all in on it. It's, dude, what industry can you get into where you can remotely, you don't have to check into an office, nothing. It's, you know, and it's that laptop in a cell phone. You can make a month $15,000 to $20,000. Where else does that exist? And
Right.
it's real. It's as real as anything. Like, I've been doing it over and over and over and over. When I first heard the concept of wholesaling, I've sold a lot of stuff in my career. I've made a lot of money in my career. But when I heard about wholesaling, I was skeptical. I'm like, you know, and I came into the industry with money. So I had a little bit of money to, you know, I had money to spend on marketing. My sales acumen, I believe, is better than most. So I was confident as from a sales acumen. But when it came to the real estate side, I was very green. I didn't know anything about real estate, didn't know how to underwrite a property, didn't know how to comp, didn't know the lingo, the language. I didn't know any of that. But I knew if I got somebody on the phone and there was even a small opportunity, they were interested in selling the house, I could have a good enough conversation where I could dig into the pain point with them and ultimately get a deal. So it's like this industry, I'm glad at this point in my career, I found it, because real estate is going nowhere. It's not a wave. Like, there's a lot of waves that the sales industry or sales people jump on. They make really good money for some time, and then they got to find another wave to catch. Real estate's not going anywhere. It will forever be a wave. Now, it does have its ebbs and flows, but the thing I like about wholesaling is we deal with distressed situations. Whether the economy is good or bad, people will be in distress. Whether the home's in distress or the house is, or the homeowner is in distress, there's always going to be, you know, life shows up at any given moment for all of us. So I love this industry because, good or bad, the economy, I will thrive being able to find off-market deals. I know I will.
Yeah, people always need houses. Yeah, and
They always do.
You know, I'm curious. Like, I know you jumped into this space, and you said you were green on the real estate side, but obviously have you know, not we're starting from zero, but had that you know, that sales acumen. What lessons did you learn during that first year? Because you grew so fast in those first 12 months, especially like can you share anything there on that you think our audience would you know, get value from in that first year, especially when you first got into it?
Yes. Yeah. And I listen, the deals don't find you. We got to find the deals. First and foremost. And in the very beginning, momentum is not given to you. It's earned. You do not momentum. This is a momentum game, right? It's a lot of dials, a lot of conversations, and a lot of offers to get a contract that might not even go to the closing table. So in my first 12 months, the thing I struggled with the most was underwriting properties. But I did not let that prevent me from still doing the money-making activities, and that was picking the phone up, having conversations, and making offers. It's almost one of those fail forwards. I knew if I did it enough, I was going to understand how to properly underwrite properties and comp them where I was confident in my numbers. My first 12 months, my first 30 days to be exact, I think I locked up. I was in Toledo, Ohio, doing deals. Living in Raleigh, North Carolina, doing deals in Toledo, Ohio. I don't know why I was doing deals there. My buddy said, go in that market, and I did it. I didn't question anything they said. I think I locked up 11, 12, or 13 contracts my first 30 days.
Wow.
I was doing a partnership with them, meaning I paid for my marketing. I did the acquisitions. They would dispo all my deals and do the TC side of it. So all I had to do was worried about the acquisition side. First 30 days, 11, 12, 13 contracts, not sure the exact number, but I think all but like one of them fell out. Most people, because I didn't know how to underwrite the deal. I knew certain markets, you had to use certain equations. It didn't work in every market, right? In Toledo, Ohio, these investors like buying these things super, super discounted. And I didn't realize that in the beginning. But the reason I say that story in the beginning is most people would have done that for 30 days. All their contracts fall out and they're like, this isn't real. Like, this is not for me. But what did I do? I learned from, all right, I just got to get them deeper. I got to get them deeper than what I was locking them up for, or I just pivot to a new market. And that's ultimately what I did. And it took me 4 months on my 4th month in this industry, from as green as it gets from the real estate side. 4 months in, on my 4th month, I did just over $130,000 in assignment fees on my 4th month. And I only went up from there. I did $2.6 million my first 12 months.
Man, what do you think, whenever you're making those dials, and especially doing it virtually like that, what do you think makes you stand out compared to the, Joe Schmo sales guy? Like, what are the things that make you, great at this business, you think?
Yeah. So when I got into the space, I wanted to understand what the competition was saying. And I was joining a lot of different masterminds, and I was going to certain events because I wanted to hear what type of sales was being taught in this industry, because I knew it was a sales game. And everybody was saying the same thing. I heard the same message throughout everywhere I went. And it was, get on and off the phone as fast as humanly possible. We aren't here to create pain. We're here to help with it. And I'm like, and then I also heard the message, when you get on the phone, try to disqualify the lead as fast as you can. I've never heard that in my career, try to disqualify a lead. No, we qualify leads. We don't disqualify them. So you hear the wrong message, it's going to set you up for failure. So I'm like, all right, everyone that's calling these homeowners, my biggest thing is I need to separate myself from the competition. Meaning, I'm not going to get on the phone and immediately, hey, Mrs. Smith, this is Eric. I'm calling about 123 Main Street. We're cash buyers in the area. We cover all closing costs. What are you looking to get for your home? They hear that day in and day out, day in and day out. So I'm like, all right, I need to get them to believe that their house has to qualify, because people want what they can't have. So I created, before I ever jumped on the phones, I had like a 9-page script. Now it's like 13 pages. I've added a bunch of language to it. But what separates me from the competition is I live by the philosophy of, I know what these homeowners have been through. I know I'm not the first person that's called them. I know that the only reason they keep answering the telephone is because there is a level of interest that they want to sell their home. Some way more motivated than others. Some houses way more distressed than others, but there's a level of motivation. What the homeowners are waiting for is somebody that they can talk to that's not going to immediately just go in and say, how much money do you want for your house? To a complete stranger. Call them out of the blue. They have no clue who you are. It's their biggest asset they more than likely have attached to their name. And one of the first questions you want to ask somebody that doesn't know your name, your number, who you're with, how to get in contact with you, they don't know shit about you. You're going to ask them within 30, 45 seconds, how much do you want for your house? Well, if I'm that homeowner, in my head, I'm just going to throw off random numbers that make no lick of sense at all. So when I get on the phone with somebody, it's, hey, my name's Eric with ABC Home Buyers. It looks like you we're potentially interested. And I always say potentially, not you want to sell your house. Because I reached out to them, or a cold calling company reached out to them. So I see that you're interested in potentially wanting to sell your home. It looks like your property was paired with us. We're buyers in the area, and we're looking to acquire possibly a couple more properties. I don't say we're cash buyers. I don't say we're investors. I always leverage the call center as a referral company that paired your property with us. And then I go in and I say, my job here today is to see whether or not we're a good fit and whether or not your property actually qualifies for our program. And then before I start asking them any questions about their situation, the home, any of that, I say, Matt, I know you get a ton of these phone calls. I let them know I know that before they even have to say it to me. I know you get a ton of these phone calls, and this call is going to be a little bit different. You have my word on that. What I want to do before I go in and start asking you questions that I know you've answered before, I say all this on my calls. I'm going to go and, ask you some questions I got to get answered that I know you've answered before. I at least want to have the common courtesy of allowing you to know who you're talking to. Can you grab a pen and a paper for me, please? And then I have them write. I start by getting them engaged. I take control of the phone call. I have them write my first name down, my last name down. If you have a company name, have them write the company name down, your website. If you don't have it, it's okay. It's not needed, but it does help if you have a company and all that. And then when I give them my phone number, I'll say, hey, my number is 123-456. After I'm done giving them my phone number, I'll say, and can you repeat the number back for me, please, just so I know you have it right. And the only reason I have them repeat the phone number is because they could remember my name. They might remember the name of the company, but nobody remembers phone numbers anymore. So I ask them to repeat it so I know I, 1, have their attention, 2, I got them engaged, 3, I've taken control of the phone call, and more importantly, 4, at the end of this phone call, I have full intentions on making an offer and trying to get them to sign a contract. So the last thing I want to hear at the end of a 35, 45-hour phone call is, what's your name again? How do I get a hold of you? When I'm trying to get them to say yes, let me get rid of objections before they ever become objections. So I like doing objection prevention rather than objection handling, because we all know what type of objections are going to come at the end. It's, I need to think about it. Let me talk to my spouse. Let me have an attorney review it. I'm not sure I want to do this right now. I have a higher offer. We know the objections. So talk about the obstacles in the body of the call. That way, at the end, you go into the close with the ammunition you need to overcome any objection that could possibly come your way.
Yep. Man, that's so good. Yeah, the objection prevention, that's a huge mindset shift for a lot of people. By the end of those calls, too, you probably have people like asking for the sale, right? Like they're trying to qualify themselves for your program or for you, being worth buying that house, right? So yeah, I do. I love the mindset there. How do you, one other thing I going into it, I was really impressed by, is how you guys operate your business as well, and the systems you put in place, and how that's led to higher margins and just a more efficient business. Do you have any advice there for people that are kind of, really nailing the acquisition side, the sales side, and are really starting to scale? Like how can they think about building those types of things?
Yeah. So a good, one, a business at scale is always ran by off numbers. If you don't know your numbers, you don't know your business. You're making emotional decisions rather than logical decisions. So you got to know your numbers, right? How many leads in, how many leads to a contract, what are your KPIs for your sales team? What's your KPIs for your dispo? We have our non-negotiables that it's just our standard within our company. Like for an acquisitions, we deal with all warm leads. It's a minimum 60 outbound dials, 3.5 hours of talk time every single day without fail minimum. And then you got to do a minimum of 4 offers per day. Now, some days you might fall short because, you know, not every day is a perfect day. Once you go to start scaling it, you want to I think people underestimate like a good CRM. Like I've built my own platform and I've been using it. You know, I have my own developer. I brought it over from the timeshare exit space. The CRM is the backbone to our business. And then we plug quality people, qualified people into our system. And then at scale, like having a nurture campaign, we spend tens of thousands of dollars every single month on marketing. And just because a lead comes in today doesn't mean it's a deal today, or doesn't mean it's a contract today. So you want to get as much juice out of the squeeze as you can with your data. Because once you've acquired the data, you've already bought it. Now you want to, at some point, convert the data. And where I think a lot of people in this industry don't realize is, and I know I'm going a little off track of the question that you asked,
yeah,
but great. Is you have to, like, for you to get a lead today, let's say I buy 10,000 records from you, Matt, I send it off to run it remote, and I get a lead in that says, yes, I want to sell my house in 6 months or less. Well, the stars almost have to align for that lead to turn into a deal today. So many things could happen before I call that lead that I just got that said, yes, I want to sell. They could have gotten 5 more calls that day from five different VA companies. They could have got a call from somebody that treated them like complete shit. They could have, when I called them, they could have been on the way to the telephone. They could have stubbed their toe. And when they answered, I was the next person they talked to. And they were not happy. So I know all the different circumstances and what could happen by the time I reach out to a lead. So the reason I tell this story is, or this scenario is, when you get a lead, your first, I would say, 9 to 10 days are probably the most crucial days for you to have that lead in your system. Now, if you don't convert it within those first 9 to 10 days, it doesn't mean it's not a good lead. It means you just now have to nurture that lead and wait for the right time and the right circumstances. So any lead that comes to our system after 10 days, we put it in through a very robust SMS follow-up or nurture campaign. And I can show you over $1 million in deals of leads that were a year or older in our ecosystem.
Wow.
Where most people, those leads go to die and they never do anything with them. But, or let's say I pitch somebody today, they reject my offer, or they say I'm working with a competitor, or whatever they say at the end of your offer. Most people let that lead go die. Where unless they sell the house, it's never a dead lead for us. We then put it into a bucket, and we have SMS campaigns that are delivering it a message based off of how the call ended. And every single month without fail, Matt, every month without fail, we would get 4 to 10 contracts of leads that were 6 months or older. Every month without fail because of our nurture campaigns. So I've already bought the data. I already spent the money on the marketing. I already hired the cold caller. Until they tell me the house is sold, I will continue to follow up with them until the day I stop doing this.
Yep. Man, I'm taking notes over here. We might have to have you back on just for that topic of lead nurture, because you're so right that, you know, especially in the DealMachine front, I mean, people are using us for the data, for lead gen, all of that, but then that long-term lead, it is so easy to neglect those. And especially if you're like newer into scaling investors, you may not have your systems built out, you know, well enough to do that, you know, in an effective way. So yeah,
dude, that's where the money's
more of
at.
your time, but it would be great to have you back on for that. So
no, I would love to come back because dude, it's so important. Listen, my whole thing when I came into this industry, Matt, is I never once anticipated or seen myself ever doing stuff like this, coming on different platforms and telling people how none of the shit I talk about is ever theory. It's what I do in my businesses for the last 14 years. And when I came into the real estate space, specifically wholesaling, I saw the lack of business acumen. There were a lot of hustlers, but at some point you want to turn the hustle into a business, and you want to be able to stop hustling and live in deal to deal. And there's ways to manipulate or beat the competition. Like I could pull up one lead right now. It was 722 days in our ecosystem. 5 different acquisition managers pitched this lead. 5 in over 2 years. What is 722 divided by 365? It's almost 2 years. Yeah. And so we had this lead for 2 years, 5 different acquisition managers, 5 different rejections, about 60, 70 different text messages went out to this one homeowner. We finally got her back on the phone and pitched her at a number she had rejected 5 times.
Wow.
It was it was 39,000 and something odd dollars. But most people never would have capitalized on that deal. That deal would have sat, collected dust. Somebody else would have gotten to it, but I owned the lead the entire time. Why let it go die and let somebody else get the money? I want all the money.
Yeah, so true, man. Man, that's yeah, I know we're running up on time here today. This was awesome. I really appreciate you on that front too. Like the lead nurture side, absolutely. Like I'm serious. It would be great to have you back on our masterclass about that. So we'll make that happen. So dude, yeah, overall, like I took a ton of notes. This was fantastic. I really appreciate you coming on and just again, like opening up about your story and sharing that with our audience too. Cause everybody's fighting their own battles. And I think hearing that is so encouraging to see, how you've gotten through that, how you continue to get through that and continue to evolve yourself too. So, appreciate you being open to sharing that stuff. How can people connect with you? Like, what's the best way to get involved with you? I know you put great stuff on social media, but let me know.
Dude, they can go to my Instagram, the Eric Cline, ERICCLINE, the Eric Cline.
Perfect.
My YouTube channel. I mean, if you just type in Eric Cline, wholesaling or real estate, you'll see my YouTube channel on there. My mission, man, is to help people break the chains, break the bloodlines, the generational curses. I attract a lot of the misfits, the underdogs, the counted outs, and I can help them turn into the ones where your family can actually count on you. So that's my mission, man.
That's awesome, man. We'll link to all that below. Again, Eric, like really appreciate you coming on here and sharing all this with us today. So
appreciate you, brother.
Yeah. To everyone watching, Matt Camp over here with DealMachine, and happy deal finding.